Hello, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on NewsFeed today.
They don't have any evidence against me doing anything dangerous. When I went to Syria, I was just a housewife.
From British schoolgirl to Syrian housewife, but is Shamima now stateless? A fashion house fail again, this time it's Burberry. We'll tell you why this statue depicting a scene from 1945 was vandalized using a very modern phrase. And animals doing stuff is some cattle helping themselves in Hong Kong. All right, top of our newsfeed, Shamima Begum. Now, the 19-year-old has just had her British citizenship revoked. 4 years ago, she began watching Daesh videos online, fell in love with their warped worldview, and after stealing her sister's passport, took herself to Syria to join the terror group. But now the British government is being criticised for abandoning one of its own. Denis has more.
A proud wife of Daesh or a wayward teenager in need of help? Shamima Begum was a 15-year-old schoolgirl from East London when she left the UK to go to Syria.
My sister was into any normal teenage things. She used to watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians and stuff like that, so there was nothing that indicated that she was radicalised in any way, not at home.
Now 19, she's in a Syrian refugee camp with her newborn baby and mourning 2 other lost children. And she's begging to be brought home.
When we lost Raqqa, we had to keep moving and moving and moving. The situation got difficult. Yeah.
Was there a point where you started to have second thoughts about your life in Islamic State, under Islamic State?
Just only at the end, like after my son died, I realised I had to get out for the sake of my children, the sake of my daughter and my baby.
Did you know what Islamic State were doing when you left for Syria? Because they had beheaded people, there were executions.
Yeah, I knew about those things and I was okay with it.
That particular revelation drew widespread condemnation.
Show me where in the sayings of the Prophet does it say it's justifiable. In fact, God says contrary. Taking one innocent life is like taking the lives of the entire humanity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For several days, the British press and Parliament have been debating Begum's case. Should she be brought home on humanitarian grounds, or should she be prevented from returning for security reasons?
Now that this so-called caliphate is crumbling, some of them want to return. And I have been very clear, Mr. Speaker. Where I can, and where any threat remains, I will not hesitate to prevent this. The powers available to me include banning non-British people from this country and stripping dangerous dual nationals of their British citizenship.
Based on that, the British Home Secretary revoked her citizenship, pointing out that her mother is a Bangladeshi national.
By Bangladesh law, that would mean that Ms. Begum is a Bangladesh national. That means that she doesn't have only British nationality. Therefore, if her British nationality is removed, she is not stateless. The Home Secretary, therefore, in law, is acting within his power, it would appear, in removing her British nationality.
In response, her lawyer tweeted that her family is considering all legal avenues to challenge the decision. Reaction on social media has been mixed.
Britain stripping citizenship of a schoolgirl who got sucked in by online ISIS propaganda is nothing shy of political race baiting. UK hasn't stripped citizenship of Asma al-Assad, the British-born wife of this century's greatest mass murderer, nor Brits who joined IRA.
I really hate the idea of defending someone like Shamima Begum. I vociferously hate ISIS and everything they stand for. But the Home Secretary is abusing his powers by stripping someone of their British citizenship. It sets a very dangerous precedent.
I don't care that Shamima Begum's family is disappointed the Home Office revoked her citizenship. I care, however, about the feelings of the many families who had to bury what was left of their children after the Manchester attack. An act of unspeakable evil she justified.
For British citizens, travelling to Syria is not itself an offence.
They don't have any evidence against me doing anything dangerous. When I went to Syria, I was just a housewife.
So, has the British government made the right decision?
All right, let's look at some of the other things that caught our eye on social media. Well, Bernie Sanders has launched his second bid to be the President of the United States. He will be seeking the Democratic nomination, something Hillary Clinton beat him to in 2016. And in the first 10 hours of his announcement, his campaign raised $3.3 million. If Mr. Sanders wins, he will be 79 years old by the time he gets into the Oval Office.
Our campaign is about transforming our country and creating a government based on the principles of economic, social, racial, and environmental justice. Our campaign is about taking on the powerful special interests that dominate our economic and political life.
You got a lot of people running, but only one person's going to win. I hope you know who that person is. Goodbye, everybody.
Now, in the fashion game's latest faux pas, the British brand Burberry sent this down the runway at London Fashion Week. It's a hoodie with a noose as a neck pull. Now, in an Instagram post that's been liked and shared thousands of times, the model Liz Kennedy called them out, saying, among other things, that suicide is not fashion. Burberry has, of course, since apologised and tried to explain that the top was meant to look nautical. Now, some great video from the NHL is going viral. As you can see, it happened during a game on Monday. That puck came within just a few centimetres of taking that commentator's head off. Have a look again. Oh, he's so lucky. His name's Pierre Maguire, and he should probably go and get a lottery ticket. Now, France is home to Europe's largest Jewish population, and it has seen a large and ugly spike in incidents of anti-Semitism. So last night, in cities across the country, the French did what the French do. They took to the street. Marches have been held across France, protesting a rise in anti-Semitic attacks.
It's something that strikes fear, that brings back bad memories. We want to show younger generations that there's another path to take other than this one.
Today we were horrified because it was a philosopher that was attacked. But there are little people who get insulted because they are part of the minority every day. And what are we doing about that?
Last year, there were more than 500 anti-Semitic attacks across the country, a 74% increase on the year before. 80 graves at a Jewish synagogue in Strasbourg were desecrated with swastikas just a few days ago. And the French philosopher Alain Finkielkraut was the target of abuse from some yellow vest demonstrators who've been rallying every weekend for the past few months. French President Emmanuel Macron says this is not what France is meant to be.
A group of individuals full of hate has unfortunately done what others have done before for too many years. I am here above all as a testimony of solidarity of the whole nation, of our shame to see this, and to say here my complete determination in fighting anti-Semitism, whatever shape it takes.
Anti-Semitism rises again each time we let cracks, fractures or gaps in the French society, among which is ignorance, the absence of communication, the absence of firmness on these great principles, and when the Republic becomes defiant. I think that obviously the answer to all of this is education, education, education.
The Yellow Vest movement began out of anger over a proposed increase to fuel tax. It then became a wider movement against social inequality. Some within the movement reject the anti-Semitism directed towards Mr. Finkielkraut. But there is a real fear that racists could use the Yellow Vests as cover to push their hate. Now, the United Nations says that we humans waste a third of all the food we produce each year. That's more than 1 billion tons, and that level is simply not sustainable.
The world produces enough food to feed every single human being, but in the same world, almost 815 million people are suffering from hunger. Why is this the case? Food waste is a big reason. Statistics show that every year we waste nearly 1.6 billion tons of food. That's worth $1.2 trillion.
The average American family spends $2,000 on food that it doesn't eat.
$2,000 on food that it doesn't eat. There is waste at the farm, in transit, at supermarkets and restaurants, at homes. It's everywhere.
Experts believe reversing this trend would provide enough food to feed 2 billion people. Reducing food waste could also have a positive impact on climate change, because when food is wasted, so are the natural resources used to grow food, such as water, land and fertilizer.
But what we have to recognise now is that we are reaching the ecological limits that our planet can bear. And when we chop down forests, as we are every day, to grow more and more food, when we extract water from depleting water reserves, when we emit fossil fuel emissions in the quest to grow more and more food, and then we will throw away so much of it, we have to think about what we can start saving.
To address the issue, the UN aims to halve food waste by 2030, but it seems unlikely it'll reach the goal unless governments, companies and consumers take immediate action. There are a number of measures that can help, such as providing storage methods, launching consumer awareness campaigns and changing consumer behaviour, along with assuring better food policies. So will Earthlings finally do what it takes to curb food waste for the welfare of the planet?
All right, a spin around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Wednesday. Now, these women in Buenos Aires are demanding the Argentinian government legalize abortion. The green handkerchiefs they're waving have become a symbol of their movement. Now, abortion is only allowed in Argentina if a woman has been raped or if a pregnancy puts her life in danger. In August, the Argentinian government rejected a bill to legalize terminations in the first 14 weeks of pregnancy. Someone has spray-painted #MeToo onto the unconditional surrender statue in Florida. The statue recreates a famous photo from the end of the Second World War, a sailor kissing a nurse. But now, even though the image is iconic, some people say it depicts an act of sexual assault, including Time magazine, which first published it back in 1945. The woman being kissed is called Greta Zimmer-Friedman, and she said that kiss was not consensual. In the United Kingdom, 3 Conservative Party MPs have quit to join the independent grouping set up by 8 Labour MPs earlier this week. They are Anna Soubry, Heidi Allen and Dr. Sarah Wollaston. They did so in protest against the way the Brexit debacle is being handled by Ms May. And emojis will soon be allowed on people's number plates in Queensland, Australia, as if the world couldn't get any dumber. Only happy faces will be allowed, which is annoying for me, as my favourite emoji is the one with the monocle and that quizzical expression. Now, China has opened the Forbidden City to visitors at night time for the first time in nearly 100 years, and the palace put on a spectacular show. And for our animals doing stuff today, we have something for you really don't see every day. A gang of cattle made dinner reservations for 8 in the fresh produce aisle of a supermarket in Hong Kong. Now, there are apparently just over 1,000 stray cattle and water buffalo prowling around Hong Kong, or whatever it is these big animals do, and they are generally well tolerated. We will see how long that lasts if this is their newest tactic to get some food. And that is all from the NewsFeed team. Reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. I'm at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on Twitter and YouTube, and you can follow me on Instagram. Follow, subscribe, and see you again tomorrow.